Welcome back to Real Talk About Feminism podcast. We are so excited to be back with another episode today discussing human trafficking and the misconceptions because there's a lot out there and this is a very important topic.
Yeah, before we start, I want to plug one of our very first guest interview episodes that we ever did. And her name was Ophelia. We interviewed Ophelia, and she was extremely brave and vulnerable and shared her story as a survivor of human and sex trafficking. So definitely go listen. It's one of our early days.
I
So,
think Ophelia was our very first guest.
oh my gosh, that
Yeah,
was
I
so
think it's
long ago.
literally years ago. I think her episode is our 6th episode.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you, wherever you listen, just scroll all the way
scroll up
down
or down, yeah.
and it will be there. But I thought that was a really impactful message that she shared.
I actually, and I'm not even exaggerating, but I actually think about her story all the time.
I do too.
Like, yeah, people need to go listen, but I think her story just brought awareness to how it's literally happening all around us. And that's the biggest impact it had on me. Like it's everywhere. And so yeah, I think about her story all the time. It was really heartbreaking, but
It
she seems
was.
yeah, it was. She seems to be doing a lot better now though, which is great.
That's good. We'll reference her story and like things that she said throughout because, as Haley said, we're going to share some of the myths and misconceptions. And as I was like prepping the notes, I was thinking about her interview and
Yeah.
how everything she was saying lined up with it. So, before we get into the episode, let's recap Olivia because we just saw Olivia Rodrigo. I'm wearing her merch.
Oh, I
It's
didn't
hard to
even
see,
realize.
but I took your advice and I cut the neckline. And
It's
then
so
I
much
was like, while
better.
I'm at it, I'm just going to cut like all my concert shirt necklines.
Yeah.
I feel so much better.
Yeah, it's just not suffocating you.
Yeah, like why do they make them so tight? It's like a
I don't
collar.
know. I don't know. I don't like it. But yeah, I would literally the first thing I did was cut my neckline and I was gonna crop it, but I didn't crop that one. I've cropped all my other concert shirts and I was like, you know what, I'll just not crop this one. And if I want to crop it later, I can. Um but yeah, Olivia was so fun. We spilled our guts and it was
Literally,
the
I was
best.
telling Cleo, I was like, it just felt like a giant sing along.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was the best vibes, and she
It
was
was
so
such good
cute.
vibes. She was so cute. The only thing is it was an auditory show for us and not so much a visual show because so this is what I'm literally so confused with. The tickets that we got, nosebleeds, highest level, farthest over that you could get. I think we were literally
No,
the
I was
farthest.
the cutoff. Yeah.
Yeah. Um and our tickets were not cheap, but we were behind the stage basically.
Yeah.
So we couldn't see what was going on the stage really. Um but it was fine. Like I was like whatever, it's fine. But I was just so shocked the whole time. I was like, I know how much we paid for ours. How much
Yeah.
everyone else pay?
I know, and as I've been on TikTok, like, actually watching the show after and, like,
Yeah.
the Denver TikToks people posted, all the comments were like, "I just wish I could go. She was so expensive, though." I'm like, "She was expensive."
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
right, based on our seats, I can't imagine how much other people paid.
Yeah. Like we paid over $300 for
It was
ours.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, after
So
fees and everything, it was quite a bit.
yeah. So
So,
I don't know how people afford that, but we had the best time. We took our brother for his birthday, so it was like a belated birthday gift. And yeah, it was just fun. I flew back to Denver for it. Um and so that was fun. I got to see the family, we had our a girls night on the
that
weekend when
was
I was
much
there.
needed.
Yeah, that was very much needed. I had the best time. It was so fun. It was just fun to see everyone.
Yeah, it's been a good weekend.
I also
I
got to see your apartment.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun. Um, let's talk about the Olympics real quick, just because I know we're all watching. Have you seen all the memes on Instagram and TikTok? And it's like, meetings? Girl, I'm watching the Olympics. Like, don't even look at my Outlook calendar type thing.
No, but I love that. That's
Like,
funny.
that is so accurate.
So yeah, I'm like, are they putting it on at work for you?
No,
Oh, okay.
just watching it on the side.
Oh, okay, okay. I was like, how is she watching this?
No, I'm just watching it on the
Okay,
side. Like, I
okay.
don't wanna miss out. I need to support Team USA.
Yeah,
This is, like, a rare time I feel super patriotic.
I know. I'm like, this is the only thing getting me through the fact that we're about to have an election. Um, yeah, this is kind of like making me forget about that. But yeah, I have been watching it all the time. I have like literally just had it on all day.
Yeah,
And if I
it's
need
so
to mute
fun.
it, like, yeah, I kept it on for G because I had to go to the store and like get my meds and, run errands. And I was like, should I turn this off? And then he was literally watching it. And so I was like, I'll just keep it on for him. Like it is on all the time, but it's so good. It's so good. Like, how can you not watch it?
I know. I could go on and on just because I love the way that a lot of the athletes are connecting through social media and, like, learning more
Mhm.
about them.
Ilona.
It's
We love
Yes,
Ilona.
Alona, I'm talking about Alona. I love her, and, like, Suni, I love her.
Suni, I love Suni. I know Suni, she's hitting different because she came back from 2, or she still has them, but, like, 2 kidney diseases. I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
that was
fellow kidney disease
crazy.
girl." I know. That was really
I was shocked
inspiring.
when I heard that. I was like, "Wait, what are they talking about?"
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know, so that's really inspiring.
I know, I
Um,
love when women
yeah, literally. I just watched the, sand volleyball doubles, um, to get into the finals, and we won, we beat China, so that was
Women's or
good.
men's?
Women's,
Nice.
yeah. So,
Cloth and Nuss.
yeah.
I love them.
Yeah, and, like, I love them because they have played together since LSU, so that's cute, and also I think they live together, like, I think they're besties.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cute.
which is
I
cute.
know that Cloth is engaged, so
Oh, maybe they don't live
maybe they don't
together.
live together, but
Oh, I don't know. Um, but yeah, what were you watching today?
today I watched the women's what's it called? Individual or all-around gymnastics final.
Okay.
So I got to see Simone and Suni medal,
Okay,
which
so I didn't know
was
the results of that, so they medaled.
yeah, sorry. I'm like, it's
No, no.
been
No,
okay
you're
because I
good.
was like,
That's the
Night
thing, like,
News submitted an article, like, there was yeah.
yeah, you literally can't keep up with all of them. I actually did see that Simone won gold.
Yes, and Suni won bronze, and then what I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's from Brazil. I think it's Rebecca Andrade, but she won silver, and she, like, was, like, Simone's biggest competitor, is what the
She
commentators were saying.
she's Brazil's Simone Biles, right?
Yeah, pretty much,
Okay.
and she did amazing. I watched her beam routine. I was shocked.
Wow. I love that. That's fun. Dang it. I'm sad I missed that. I love
It was
gymnastics.
so good, so, so good. Like, the energy that everyone had because Simone did her floor routine last. That was the last event of the competition,
Mhm.
and the crowd was just going crazy. It was so cool.
I bet. That sounds fun. I love that.
Yeah, I know, and I'm excited for LA 2028.
Yep.
I went on their website and I signed up for email alerts so that I can
Okay.
get us tickets
Okay, good.
because we are going.
Yeah, no, I was talking to the rest of the family and they also wanted to go. So,
Sounds so cool.
I know, I was like, "That would be fun." So,
Yeah,
yeah, we've gotta get tickets. I saw that
but
you can
just
get
in LA.
tickets a year in advance.
Okay.
So, yeah, any other, besties out there wanna go to the 2028 Olympics with us?
Yeah, that would be so fun.
We can all meet up. Wear pink.
Wear pink. Okay, well, we're gonna get into our obsessions of the week. Mine is the Keurig that my roommate brought over from her old place because I actually love having coffee in the morning.
That's
And
good.
I've gotten to get my Chobani Real Cream creamer that I love. And so that and the Keurig is my current obsession.
I love that. Do you make what's, like, your go-to, I guess, coffee in the morning? You just put a pot
I
in?
just put a pot in and put creamer.
Okay,
Like, it's
but it's
nothing
hot
fancy.
coffee?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I actually got Starbucks today
Ooh,
for the first time in a while, so, um okay, cool. My obsession is this song. I have to pull it up. It's a song called Velvet Ring by Big Thief.
I've never heard of either of those.
Yeah, you might have heard it on TikTok. Um, but yeah, no, I it's a really pretty, like, slow song, and I just like it. So yeah, Velvet Ring by Big Thief. That's my obsession.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'll give it a listen.
Yep.
Well, today's feminist highlight is Patrice Banks. She's the founder of Girls Auto Clinic in Pennsylvania. And she founded Girls Auto Clinic because she was tired of having negative experiences at the mechanic and dealing with car care in general as a woman. Girls Auto Clinic is committed to creating a unique, comfortable, and confident automotive repair experience for women. This is from their website directly. They offer full service auto repair, female mechanics, and their beauty bar where people can get mani, pedis, and beauty treatments while waiting for their cars to be serviced.
I love that.
They also have a laptop station, lounges, and a kids' play area. Again, from the website, passionate about equality and empowerment of women, business leadership, innovation, technology, and STEM education, Patrice promotes positive messages for female inclusion and empowerment in the auto industry through her hashtag #SheCanic movement. And a little more about this movement. It educates and empowers women through their cars. Patrice was tired of feeling helpless with repairs and car maintenance. She realized she was not the only woman who felt that way, and millions of women out there are thirsty for empowerment and education. It's her goal to reach every women driver and to create a community of car savvy women that are smart consumers and make confident decisions when it comes to their cars and auto purchases. Lastly, Patrice educates in a shame free, relatable, and engaging way to women looking to learn practical information about their vehicles. Patrice hosts monthly free car care workshops. She penned a car care book. She has a blog where she gives car care tips. And she created the hashtag #SheCanic Facebook page, which is a private group that connects female drivers with female mechanics to get answers to their car questions.
Okay, I love everything about that. There's, like, so many elements.
Right? Right? Immediately when I
Yeah.
saw that, I was fascinated. And I thought of Invisible Women when a main theme of that book, I would say, is that I don't know how to say this. Women in general will group errands together, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you remember in Invisible Women, but they were saying like women who plan like office buildings, for example, typically you see more buildings that will have daycare in there, that will
Mhm.
have like a transportation service, like different things within the building
Yeah.
because women primarily are the ones that run errands in traditional families. And so
Mhm.
being able to group certain things together is much more efficient and less time consuming. So I thought about that concept because I was like, how many women is going to the salon like a normal part of their errand routine?
Yeah.
And so for Patrice to combine them is so cool. And not only do that, but also educate women.
Right. Yeah, that's where I'm like, okay, the education piece was really what was getting me because it's like, okay, not just and nothing wrong with them just fixing your car for you, but, like, they also wanna empower you to learn and not feel dumb and to be able to ask questions and, like, I just love, like, both the online safety around this whole thing and, like, the in-person experience is just amazing.
Yeah, I love it, and if I lived in Pennsylvania, I would go.
I know, I'm like, "Wait, how far is that from here? Can I go visit?"
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is Patrice, and we'll post a little more about her on Instagram.
We're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and we can all benefit from having someone to talk to.
Whether you need to work through a specific trauma, talk through a big decision, navigate relationship issues, are struggling with anxiety or depression, or just need someone to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you.
It's a super easy process. You sign up and get matched with a therapist tailored to your needs. There's financial help available if you qualify, and their rates are affordable to ensure that you get the help you need.
BetterHelp has given our listeners 10% off your first month. Use code RTAFPOD for 10% off therapy services. And you can also click the link in our show notes to get there very easily. Again, that's code RTAFPOD for 10% off therapy services. Getting into the episode, I first want to credit the Instagram account at Feminist as well as the Polaris Project. Polaris Project, they are the ones that have this content. They
Okay.
created this content. So I'm merely just sharing it, but it was extremely insightful. And the Polaris Project is a movement that has been working to end human trafficking since 2007. They have operated the US National Human Trafficking Hotline since then, and they share many resources for survivors and those who are currently being trafficked. So they are like the number one resource for this, in my opinion. And their info is super helpful. As always, I'll link everything in the show notes. I recommend going to check it out. So I'm going to share the myths that they put on Instagram, and then I'm going to share some warning signs and some statistics. Myth number one about human trafficking: human trafficking is always or usually a violent crime. The truth is actually that it's often involving kidnapping or physically forcing someone into a situation. So, in reality, most traffickers use psychological means such as tricking, defrauding, manipulating, or threatening victims into providing commercial sex or exploitative labor. Myth number two: all human trafficking involves sex. Here's the truth: human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to get another person to provide labor or commercial sex. Worldwide, experts believe there are more situations of labor trafficking than of sex trafficking, but there is much wider awareness of sex trafficking in the US than of labor trafficking.
Hmm. Yeah, we
I
always hear sex trafficking and not labor trafficking.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And when I first read that, I thought of a book that I've mentioned on here before, but it's called The Girl with the Louding Voice. And that is a really great example of labor trafficking because the whole premise of the book is that she's trying to escape her hometown and her father, who is forcing her to get married when she's like 13 years old in Nigeria. And so she's trying to escape, and she ends up being trafficked to a woman who is referred to as Big Ma. And she basically has all of these girls who are around the main character's age who are forced into laboring from sunup to sundown with little pay, starving, bad conditions. So that's an example that I think of. Like, there wasn't any sex trafficking, it was all labor trafficking.
Okay, but it's still trafficking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next myth: traffickers target victims they don't know. The truth is that actually many survivors have been trafficked by romantic partners, including spouses, and by family members, including parents.
That's awful.
It's very sad, extremely sad. Next myth: human trafficking involves moving, traveling, or transporting a person across state or national borders. In reality, human trafficking is often confused with human smuggling, which involves illegal border crossings. In fact, the crime of human trafficking does not require any movement whatsoever. Survivors can be recruited and trafficked in their own hometowns, even their own homes. I think
Okay.
that's especially true with the rise of the internet and technology and so many people working remote and having that opportunity that is a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other element.
The next myth, people being trafficked are physically unable to leave their situations, slash locked in, slash held against their will. The truth, however, is that this is sometimes the case. More often, though, people in trafficking situations stay for reasons that are more complicated. Some lack the basic necessities to physically get out, such as transportation or a safe place to live. Some are afraid for their safety. Some have been so effectively manipulated that they do not identify at that point as being under the control of another person.
Okay.
The last myth, if the trafficked person consented to be in their initial situation, then it cannot be human trafficking or against their will because they, quote, knew better. This is not true. In fact, initial consent to commercial sex or a labor setting prior to acts of force, fraud, or coercion, or if the victim is a minor in a sex trafficking situation, is not relevant to the crime, nor is payment. It's the same concept as consent can be taken away at any point.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I think the one that is not the most surprising, but that I just, like, didn't think about
Mhm.
is, that you don't actually have to be, like, moving across the border of a state or, like, you can literally be in your hometown,
Yeah.
and that makes sense, but, yeah, I just didn't think about it, so that's even scarier because it can literally be just going around, like, literally right outside your front door.
Yeah, I know, that is so scary. 2 things. First, Ophelia, if I remember correctly, she was trafficked within her city.
Yeah.
So, her situation did not involve her, like, crossing even a state border or a city border, like, it was all in the same city.
Yeah.
My second point was the one about you don't even have to leave your home to be trafficked. The first example that I could think of is, like, someone who is a sex worker and does OnlyFans and ends up getting wrapped up in a situation, manipulated into a situation where they're all of a sudden a part of like a sex trafficking ring that's all online. I'm sure that's very common nowadays
Yeah.
because you don't even have to leave your home to do that,
That's scary,
but you're
and
still
yeah,
being sex trafficked.
yeah. Wow, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, the world is so bleak.
I know.
It's so bleak.
Yeah,
Uh,
can't do
did you have
anything.
any other points or anything that stood out to you? I know it was kind of a lot.
Um, I think that was, like, the most surprising thing to me, but yeah, like, getting, like, sex trafficked through OnlyFans, I would not have ever thought about that, but I'm sure that's out there.
I'm sure. Yeah, and I did know also because Ophelia talked about it, but she was trafficked by somebody who she knew or who
Mhm.
she was familiar with and thought
Yeah.
she could trust. And so that one talking about how it's strangers and it's you're usually kidnapped into it, very much not the case.
Mhm.
Polaris Project also shares some details about who typical traffickers and victims are, and then how to spot some signs of human trafficking. So I'm going to share those as well. I think it's really important to be able to be aware of and keep an eye out for.
Mhm.
Human trafficking can happen to anyone, but some people are more vulnerable than others. Significant risk factors include recent migration or relocation, substance use, mental health concerns, involvement with the child welfare system, and being a runaway or homeless youth. And then perpetrators of human trafficking span all racial, ethnic, and gender demographics and are as diverse as survivors. So this truly has no limits. This is
Mhm.
a worldwide epidemic. It doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, you could be a victim. And
Mhm.
the perpetrators also have no barriers as well.
Mhm. I think, um, I mean, that relates to Ophelia. Um, she had I feel like she had recently relocated
She
to
had.
LA. So, okay, so and that yeah, that's, like, the area where she was trafficked. Um, and yeah, like, she was just preyed upon, like, she wasn't living in her car, and so obviously very vulnerable and new to the area, didn't know anyone, like, yeah, like, that is just the perfect, demographics for you to get trafficked, like, really, and it's just so sad that it can happen so quickly and so fast,
Yeah.
before you even know what's happening.
Yeah, and the hard thing is that you can't help those circumstances.
No.
Like, just because you're in that situation doesn't mean and this were to happen to somebody, like, this is no this is in no way their fault.
Right.
Like,
I
if
think
you are unhoused, if you don't have access to mental health care, for example, like, bringing up a couple of the risk factors that Polaris Project shared, that is in no way your fault if you end up in a situation where you're manipulated or forced or coerced.
mhm. Yeah. I think something else that is, like, really interesting that you brought up with those, facts, but also that was, like, highlighted with Ophelia's case. A lot of people that get trafficked end up or they are in, like, these kind of populations that the police don't really care about, honestly. So, like, how you brought up, substance abuse issues. The police can write that off as, "Okay, well, they have a history of substance abuse. That's why you can't find them. That's why you don't know where they are. They're doing drugs somewhere." And, like, same as, like, kids in the system
Mhm.
or, yeah, like, situations like that where the police are not really necessarily gonna look for you or you don't have someone that's gonna come looking for you. And that is so awful because the systems that we have in place just don't protect people in those groups. But yeah, it's just really sad that that's who ends up getting targeted.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up because if you guys listen to true crime like I do, then you know that this does happen a lot where it's like, "Oh, well, she'll turn up. She's 18. She's
Mhm.
probably off with a friend." It's so dismissive, and it's
Yeah.
such a hole in our system because more likely than not, if somebody is reporting a missing person, they're genuinely concerned.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point you bring up. It's so sad
I
because you're
know.
right. Like, the police are just gonna turn an eye. They're not even gonna look.
Mhm.
Or there are many cases that the police officers have literally said, "Well, it's her fault she's on drugs. It's his fault he does yada yada." Like, no, it's not. It doesn't matter. If you're missing, you're missing. You deserve to be looked for.
Exactly. Exactly. And Ophelia was also telling us like a lot of a lot of their like I guess customers were police officers.
Which was terrifying.
Yeah, so that's just a side note that I had to bring up
Yeah,
because that is actually terrifying and scary.
that is haunting.
Yeah, that's, like, one of the biggest things that stuck with me because,
Mhm.
like, you can't trust someone just because they have a badge, and that's
Yeah.
awful because, obviously, they're literally being trafficked, they don't have anything else that they can do about it, but, like, the fact that these people that we're supposed to feel protected around when we see situations like Sonia Massey or
Mhm.
like hear situations where these police officers are going and, you know, raping these women, it's just scary.
Yeah. I wanted to forget about that so bad, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I know.
So, I'm gonna share some of the signs of human trafficking. And there are a number of signs that are common across all types of exploitation, including if a person, number one, acts as if instructed by another as though they are forced or coerced to carry out specific activities. 2, demonstrate signs of physical or psychological abuse, such as lacking self esteem, seeming anxious, bruising, or untreated medical conditions. 3, seems to be bonded by debt or has money deducted from their salary. 4, has little or no contact with family or loved ones. 5, is distrustful of authorities. 6, has threats made against themselves or family members. And 7, is not in possession of their own legal documents. I think there are certain careers where this might be easier to spot,
Mhm.
but maybe if you ever like overhears a weird situation at a store, or you're just being observant and you notice weird behavior that like kind of fits in these signs, I recommend just saying something to an authority figure. Just put it on the radar because you never know.
Mhm.
So, all that information again was from Polaris Project. Really great resource. They have a whole statistics tab on their website, and I went down a very deep rabbit hole because it was super clear and like you could filter it by state
Mhm.
if you're looking at the US statistics.
Oh,
So, I'm going to share some of the statistics they have on their website. First, the Human Trafficking Hotline has received 432,902 signals since 2007. Then they also have identified 100,891 cases of human trafficking since 2007, and 197,000 victims were identified in these cases because there can be multiple victims per case, right? I want to
right.
clarify the difference between a signal and a case. So, a case is where they confirmed that there were victims and that human trafficking was actually occurring. Signals are just the amount of times that the hotline has been reached out to.
Okay.
There's a few different ways people can contact the hotline, including a call, an online report, a web chat, a text message, or an email. So, all of those combined.
Okay.
Now, for 2023 only, there were a total of 30,162 signals received. 7,390 of the signals received were from victims or survivors. 9,619 cases were identified, and 16,999 victims were involved
Oh my
for
gosh.
2023 in the United States. Out of the total number of cases identified, 5,572 were reported as sex trafficking. 1,558 were reported as labor trafficking, and 1,021 were reported as sex and labor trafficking.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
And
It's a
like
lot.
thinking about all the cases that don't get identified.
Yeah, they specified that. They said this is only what was received by the hotline.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah. Now, based on the US states, I went through the data and I ranked it from um, top 10 most cases.
Okay.
Okay. So number 10 is the least amount, number 1 is the most out of the top 10.
Okay.
Number 10 is North Carolina with 235 cases total, which is 2.44% of the total cases of the
That's
country.
the state that had the most cases last year?
No,
Oh.
no. This is number 10. So number
Oh.
1 has the most of any state for 2023. I'm
Oh, okay.
just reading the top 10.
Okay.
Number 9 is Missouri with 249 cases, which makes up 2.59% of the total US cases. Number 8, Michigan with 254 cases, making up 2.64% total. Number 7 is Ohio with 258 cases, making up 2.68%. Number 6 is Georgia with 263 cases, making up 2.73%. Number 5 is Illinois with 269 cases, making up 2.80%. Number 4, New York with 412 cases, making up 4.28%. Number 3 is Florida with 680 cases identified, making up 7.07% of the total. Number 2 is Texas with 900 cases reported, making up 9.36% of the total US. And number 1, California, with 1,128 cases identified, making up 11.73% of the total cases.
Wow.
And I knew you were going to ask about Colorado. So, for
Yes.
2023, Colorado had 165 cases reported to the hotline, making up 1.72% of the total US number.
Okay. Wow. Well, I guess California, Texas, and Florida being the top 3 makes
Makes
sense
sense. Yeah.
geographically and, like, size-wise. But that's very interesting. It's interesting to have it broken out. I was thinking, okay, why is Illinois number 5? But could it be, like, because O'Hare International Airport is there and, like, that's a big one?
I'm sure. I'm not quite positive, but if you weren't picking up on it, a lot of the states from like 10 to 5 were like a couple cases within each other.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah.
a lot of them are pretty close,
Mhm.
but then you get to New York, Florida, Texas, and California, which does make sense based on population.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
wanted to share those statistics. My perspective has definitely changed, but also been reinforced doing this research because it's something that we just forget about. And it's such a big issue. It is
Mhm.
truly an epidemic. And there's so many people that are being trafficked, whether that's involving labor, sex, both. It's a really big issue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad that we did this episode, and thank you for bringing awareness to this because it is something I feel like we just need reminders about because, like, we always hear it, we always see the signs in the bathroom that are like, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
But, like, at the end of the day, also, there's so many things to look out for that it's easy for certain things to just kind of, like, fall below the radar, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think a reminder every once in a while is much needed because, like, it can literally happen anywhere. It can happen so fast. It can like, there's so much scariness surrounding it, so I definitely needed that reminder. I needed that reminder so that I can stay vigilant to the people around me too, not just me, because,
Mhm.
like, if you see something and you make a report, like, that could help a lot of people. And so, yeah, overall, I needed that reminder. I think we all needed it, and we got to keep our eyes peeled.
I agree. Also, one last thing I want to say, and bringing up Ophelia's case, some of the advice she gave was like, don't be too trusting, especially if you are in a similar situation as she was and you're in a more vulnerable demographic. Don't be too trusting, even if you're desperate.
Mhm.
Like, really protect yourself and just try not to want to trust people and instead just like really trust your gut.
Mhm. Yeah.
I am going to end with sharing the National Human Trafficking Hotline. The phone number is 1-888-373-7888. Or you can go to their website, www.humantraffickinghotline.org/en. And either of those modes of communication are fine to contact them. If you see something, say something. And we are going to end today's episode. So we'll be back in 2 weeks and we'll talk to you guys then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.